as human beings, we're resistant to change. We want things the way they are. And even if our lives are crap, part of us is saying, yeah, but it's my crap. I know where it goes. I dealt with it yesterday, so I know I can deal with it today. I may not enjoy it, but it's familiar. So with tapping, this is why I recommend people tap on a daily basis, because we have this growing body of research showing that there are all kinds of things like it boosts the immune system, it downregulates stress in the body. The happiest, healthiest version of ourselves is there inside us, underneath all this excess marble, which is beliefs about not being good enough, not having what it takes, not being smart enough, guilt, shame, anger, fear, all of this excess marble. And we're just chipping away what doesn't belong to reveal that masterpiece.
Welcome back to our show, Empower Your Life. Cindy Marie here. Our next guest is known internationally for his creative and often humorous use of emotional freedom techniques, also known as tapping. He's also the author of the best-selling children's book, The Wizard's Wish, also the co-author of the bestseller, Freedom at Your Fingertips, and featured experts in the film of The Tapping Solution. He also been a presenter at several events, including Jack Canfield's Breakthrough to Success. Now, on top of that, he has a YouTube channel. Well, perhaps we can call him as well a content creator, where you can view over thousands of videos and over 45 million views, where you can explore and see of his work. That's all about tapping. So let's all welcome our next guest, Brad Yates. Brad, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure, Cindy Marie. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, thank you. So before we dive into the power of EFT or tapping, I would like you to share with us your story, your background as how you ended up with what you're doing right now, and helping thousands of people across the globe. And one of the things that I found out while I'm doing research about you was that you used to be in acting field. So I'm not sure many people know that, but I'm super curious that what else that actually we don't know about Brad. So share with us your story.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, I started out as an actor. I'm not a doctor, but I did play one on TV.
Mhm.
Saved Sammy's life on Days of Our Lives. Yeah, I had traveled the world doing theater and came back to LA to become a movie star, and as one does. And when I got to LA, I met a woman, fell in love, and got married.
Oh,
And when
wow.
our first child was on the way, I thought I might need a second career to help support the family. So I had always been fascinated by the power of the mind, and I saw an ad for hypnotherapy school, and I thought, well, that would be an interesting side gig.
Mhm.
So I started training as a hypnotherapist, started building a small practice alongside continuing my acting career. And then a couple years later, when our second child was on the way, I realized that as much as I loved acting, doing personal development work was really my calling. It's like
Mhm.
this is what I'm really here to do. And we left Los Angeles, moved to Northern California to be closer to our families, have the kids near the grandparents. And through some other hypnotherapists, I heard about this thing called the Energy Psychology Conference, where people were doing this tapping process. And I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. I'll give that a try, and fell in love with this technique, the EFT. I took a one-day training with Gary Craig, the founder of EFT, and then went on to do his trainings and assisted him at workshops later on. But I thought, wow, this is really interesting, especially when he had us tapping on chocolate for chocolate cravings. And in a matter of minutes, I went from being a chocoholic to not being able to eat chocolate. And I didn't eat chocolate for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
I got better. Don't worry, I recovered. But but I just saw this. Wow, this is a really powerful technique. So I
Mhm.
got home and I started introducing that little by little into my hypnotherapy sessions. And then
Mm.
little by little, they became tapping sessions, and that became my
Okay.
main modality. And then YouTube came along, and I thought, wouldn't it be really cool if there was a tapping video that people could start their day with? And I'll call it Tap of the Morning. And that was all I intended to do, is just put one video out on YouTube. It's like, all right, I got a video on YouTube, cool. And it wasn't until like 6 months later that I thought I should probably have a video to end the day, and I'll call it Tap of the Evening, and then
Okay.
I'm done. And then I had another idea, and now, as you said, there's well over 1,000 videos.
Beautiful. So, um, you know, when I found out EFT, this is part of my sort of advancing my coaching practice. And I'm a big believer that for me to be able confidently to share the modality or tool to people I work with, I've got to practice, experiment, and experience myself. So, I know how it feels. And I found your video on YouTube, and I'm super, super thankful and grateful that you have decided to put up as many content as possible to have an easy access for many people to try, see if it works, to unblock those negative thoughts. And I remember one of the videos that I have watched in I think you had just completed an event in Prague 2017, and you mentioned that.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm like, that's super thankful that you have decided to put, because without that, I don't think I would be able to meet you. And one of the things that I really, really love about your practice or your field, your way, is it's fun. Like, it's true. You have this humorous way of practicing the EFT. And so for many people out there that new for this field of modality or tool, what is emotional freedom techniques?
yeah. Uh, so emotional freedom techniques, and as you said, also known as tapping, is
Yeah.
literally tapping with our fingertips on our face and torso. And for anyone who's new to and it's understandable if you might say, well, that sounds weird, but it's based on acupuncture. So for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said that there's a flow of energy through the body along these pathways that are called meridians. And when this energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well-being, physically and emotionally. When this energy gets stuck, we don't feel so good. We don't think as clearly. We don't make the best choices. And that has all kinds of unfortunate consequences for our lives. So, in traditional Chinese medicine, the doctor would stick needles in these key points around the body to stimulate that healthy flow of energy. And we're just doing basically the same thing, but using our fingertips to tap these points. And there is a growing body of modern scientific evidence validating that this process works. It's uh, one of the most profound methods of stress relief.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyone out there who experiences stress in their lives, you might find this useful. That would probably be like 100% of humanity
Okay.
experiences stress at some level. And so, this is a very simple, healthy, natural way of down regulating the stress response in the body.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you know, so let me give you a background with coaching. Whenever I express to people what I do, some people don't understand what I do. Some people would mistaken that I'm doing sports coaching, and I'm like,
Mm,
it's a different story. So I usually say, well, if you have time, let me give you the experience of coaching so you would know what is it. And I think I'm just guessing, perhaps in your field, the EFT level is the same as in coaching. Many people still don't know what it is, or many people might have that, oh, it's so woo-woo. So what do you usually, your message to convey people to be open to have that experience and try this tapping work?
yeah. And I was at a conference once and someone said, would you say that what you do is in the realm of woo woo? And I said, no, I wouldn't. You might, but it's not. This is just a simple way of using the body's natural system to regulate the nervous system. There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
woo woo about that. It's like saying, is the Heimlich maneuver woo woo? Is breathing woo woo? People would say, no, not at all. So it's not at all. But fortunately for me, because I have all the videos out on YouTube, I generally, by the time people meet me, they already have a fair amount of experience of what it is. If I'm meeting someone new, I'll talk about. I'll say it's just a very simple stress relief technique for for calming it down. And then I might go into describing the coaching aspect of it in terms of, if I'm working with someone to make changes in their lives, what happens is, as human beings, we're resistant to change. We want things the way they are. And even if our lives are crap, part of us is saying, yeah, but it's my crap. I know where it goes. I dealt with it yesterday, so I know I can deal with it today. I may not enjoy it, but it's familiar. And
Yeah.
so when someone comes along with a new opportunity, part of us has this stress response. Same fight or flight mechanism. The amygdala in the brain gets triggered by a threat, puts us into fight or flight. And whether it's seeing a snake on the path in front of us or seeing an attractive stranger that we might want to ask out,
Yeah.
we go into the same thing. Our heart starts pounding and we have the same reaction. And part of it says, run away. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is a very simple way of calming that down and saying, oh, you know what? That's not a snake in the middle of the path. That's just a stick. And this person in front of me, I could ask them out, I could not ask them out, but I don't have to have this same fear response.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how do you think that it will be beneficial and useful for people? I'm guessing that the reason why, even in coaching, it will not be useful or beneficial for people when they're not open. So is it the same in EFT or tapping, that they have to be an openness attitude?
Yeah, I always say it doesn't require belief. It's not like, well, tapping on these points in my body will calm me down if I believe in it. It's like, that's like saying the Heimlich maneuver will work if you believe in it. No, it's just going to work. It's a physical thing, but you have to be willing to believe in it enough to actually give it a try. If someone says, well, I refuse to believe that it'll work and I'm not going to tap, it's like, well, then it's not going to work.
Mm.
Same with a Heimlich maneuver. I'm choking, but I refuse to believe the Heimlich maneuver is going to work. So I'm not going to let somebody, push my stomach like that. So yes, there has to be at least enough openness to give it a shot. And the thing with EFT is sometimes it happens very profoundly. Like when Dr. Roger Callahan, the psychologist who really is the who we think of as the father of this practice. He created thought field therapy. One of his students, Gary Craig, developed it into EFT, emotional freedom technique. But he was working as a traditional psychologist and was working with a woman with a lifelong water phobia. He had been learning about acupressure and the meridian system, and he thought, well, maybe I can help her out with, a little bit with the physical issues, and asked this woman, with this lifelong water phobia, what's the physical response you have? And she said, well, I get this knot in my stomach. And he said, okay, well, I know the endpoint for the stomach meridian's right here under the eye. Let's just tap there for a moment and see what happens. And she said, oh my goodness, it's gone. And he said, what's gone? She said, the fear. And ran out of the house towards a swimming pool. And he's running after her, panicked. She goes, no, I know I don't know how to swim. But she was able to splash water in her face and had none of the reaction that she used to have before. And from that moment, then started developing this process. But that's what we call a 1 minute wonder, where we tap with someone and there's a dramatic shift in how they feel about something, how they think about something. And so when people hear that, they then think, okay, every time I tap, it should be life shattering. It should be total change. I go from being broke to being a millionaire after 5 minutes of tapping. Everything changes instantly. And that happens much more rarely. And very often we feel more relaxed after tapping. There are times where we may not notice a big shift. We may be tapping on, feeling angry towards someone, and we'll often rate the emotional distress on a scale of 0 to 10.
Yes.
And so we may say, well, I'm really angry at like an 8. And I might tap with someone for a bit and they might say, it's like a 7.75. So it's not a huge shift. It's any relief that we get is beneficial because you can keep going and bring that down. But sometimes people will say, if it's not a huge shift, they'll go, well, this didn't work.
Yeah.
That's like doing 3 sit-ups and going, well, I don't have a rock hard six pack right now. Obviously, sit ups don't work. It's like,
Yeah.
it may take a few more rounds. I like people taking vitamins. Most people, or at least many people, take vitamins on a regular basis.
Yes.
But I challenge anyone to say that they've ever taken a vitamin and noticed the difference right then. Take a vitamin, it's like, I suddenly feel so energized. I can take on the world right now. It's like, no, you trust the science saying, and if you've been doing it for a while, you might notice I generally feel healthier than I did before I started taking vitamins. But very few people are even aware of that because the difference is so subtle. So with tapping, this is why I recommend people tap on a daily basis, because we have this growing body of research showing that there are all kinds of things like it boosts the immune system, it downregulates stress in the body.
Mm-hmm.
There are all kinds of benefits, so that even if you were to tap for a few minutes and not notice anything different, just like taking a vitamin, there are
Mm-hmm.
still all kinds of benefits. And all of us have ambient levels of stress. We're all walking around with a device that's constantly telling us, here's something else to be upset about. How are you doing? Feeling good? Well, let's put an end to that. Let me tell you what's going on in the world. And we have these stress, but we don't notice it.
Yeah.
For the most part, we're just like, oh yeah, stress is just a normal thing, but it has all kinds of unfortunate consequences. And we have no realization of how it takes us down an unhealthy path and
Mm-hmm.
distracts us from opportunities. So if we had a regular practice of down regulating that stress, the opportunities for our lives are just amazing.
Yeah. I agree with you. Many people that I have worked with, and I think you get this and hearing this from social media, especially, or on the media, that many people would like the instant, whatever that may be, instant, and I love the fact that slowly many people who successful in the journey that these people aspire to become, they slowly see that it requires a lot of work, but still there are many people out there trying out the shortcuts.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is why I love to challenge myself to take the hardest way, because then in the long term I'll enjoy more. Yes, maybe not now, I have this difficulty, but I know that the reason why I'm taking this hard part is because for example, this mission and purpose, it's for the long term. I want to empower and transform more people's lives, and it's not going to be easy. People will start to question me, what are you doing? Are you getting anything? And it's like, yeah, I'm getting everything that I want in this journey that I'm taking. And going back to your tapping, one of the experiences when I practice your tapping, I remember I was like having this confidence doubt, but it's not that bad. I would say I was an 8, but usually I'm always a 10. So I practice your tapping, and I really love your approach. It's really, really fun. And I love fun ways of practicing hard habits, you know.
If it's going
And
to be
at the
hard, it
end,
should at least be fun.
exactly. Exactly. That's why, one of the things that I love practicing most of the time is your expect miracles. I love that. And because I'm also very connected with the nature, so I'm really curious why, or fascinated by other people that they can't find anything to be grateful for, because there's so many out there. But I just want to share with you, as I believe with what you said, that it requires a daily practice, especially for those people who have so many baggages of negative thoughts. And if they don't do it regularly, that past or that negative self-limiting beliefs will keep on bugging you. Come on, do you want to do this and that? And so I appreciate that you mentioned it's very important to reiterate and repeat, because it's worth it, that it requires time for people. And I'm super curious for this next question. What usually the struggles or challenges that most people approach you to ask for help?
It's interesting, Cindy. I have people come to me for all kinds of different things.
Mhm.
It may be, you know, just trying to build their business. They're trying to achieve more success. It may be relationship issues. Um, it may be they want to get healthier. That's
Mhm.
like what you were just talking about in terms of building up the practice. If you have a habit of eating unhealthy food on a regular basis, and that's just been your habit for a long time, and you say, "Oh, I want to get into better shape," exercising once a month is not going to do it. It's like, well, I can eat whatever I want now because I go to the gym once a month or once a week. Still, it's not going to do much, if anything.
Yeah.
So we have to, ideally, we exercise more often and we knock off eating the unhealthy foods. Maybe indulge once in a while,
Yes.
but really improving that balance. So, but underneath almost all of the issues that I see with folks, one of the predominant things is people believing that they're not good enough.
Mm.
People have a hard time seeing themselves as worthy, and we have so many messages about how we're not good enough, we're not worthy, we're not deserving, and then we'll look at our circumstances and say, well, look, I'm out of shape, I don't have much money, that just proves that I'm not good enough. It's like, no, you're not defined by your circumstances, you're not defined by your past.
Mhm.
Your circumstances are created by how you've been defining yourself. So if you've gotten this message early on that you're not good enough, you're going to try to prove that because we love to be right.
Mhm.
If I something happens in life, either parents or teachers or somebody for whatever reason convinced me that I'm not good enough, and I take on that belief, oh, okay, I'm not good enough. Every time I do something that proves that I'm not good enough, part of me says, all right, good, I'm right again.
Mm.
And as Dr. Joyce Brothers said, you will never consistently perform in a manner which is inconsistent with how you see yourself.
Mhm.
So if you don't see yourself as a successful person, as a healthy
Mhm.
person, as someone who takes care of yourself, as someone who does well with money, any attempt that you make to try to be more successful in any area of life is going to be a struggle. If I have convinced myself that I'm couch potato, exercising regularly is going to be really hard because it's just not I'm doing something that just isn't me.
Yeah.
Whereas if I recognize, well, I'm really an athlete, and I've been on break for a while maybe, but I'm going to get back into it, and I see myself as an athlete, then exercise is just it's just what I do. Of course I
Mhm.
get up and I go for a long walk. I do these workouts, whatever it might be. So as we see ourselves as that person, it makes a shift. And again, that when we try to make changes, if we try to say, I'm an athlete, part of us says, who are you kidding? And we have this stress response because we start looking at all of these old things that said, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
And we try to move back into what's comfortable. But as we do the tapping, we calm down that stress response and we say, yeah, you know what? As a kid, I ran around like crazy. I am athletic. It's just I do want to move. And that's really who I am. I got trained out of being that, and I can
Mm.
get back into who I really am. I always love. You can see I've got Michelangelo's David back there, and I have Davids all over the place. So Michelangelo said the statues are already there, perfect inside the marble. All I have to do is chip away what doesn't belong to reveal the
Mm.
masterpiece that's inside. The happiest, healthiest version of ourselves is there inside us, underneath all this excess marble, which is beliefs about not being good enough, not having what it takes, not being smart enough, guilt, shame, anger, fear, all of this excess marble. And we're just chipping away what doesn't belong to reveal that masterpiece.
Oh, beautiful. That reminded me of this story from the book that I'm reading, What Gods Did to for people to find the power that they have. So they have this discussion, oh, I'm going to put this knowledge into the top of the mountain. And one of the gods, I think you know this story, and said that, no, they will figure out how to climb the mountain and put the knowledge and the deepest ocean. No, they're going to figure out how to dive and so on, until one wiser god said, well, let's put that within. So they
They'll
have to
never
just,
look for it there.
and it always makes me curious, Brad. Maybe you have a better explanation. A lot of people feel a fear of working on self, and for me, it's like I actually find it very fascinating, and I've always find it very curious, like, oh my god, I can do this, what else can I do? But you know what, I'm having this conversation with other people, like what you said, having this self-doubt, and that speaking to themselves, especially when they're on their own, you know, all that negative thoughts, because people project, right, in front of other people, that I'm this, I'm that. But when they're on their own time or own space, that's when they figure out that, who the hell am I to say that to other people? And why do you think that people are so scared of, you know, having that unfolding the real power within?
So you may be familiar with the quote from Marianne Williamson: our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not the darkness, that most frightens us. So you said it right there, Cindy Mary. A moment ago, you said, wow, I can do this. What else could I do? For a lot of people, it's like, ooh, I could do that. What else could I do? And it's that fear of, if I allowed myself, I could really create change. And I'd have to step outside my comfort zone. And I've been working on this comfort zone for, decades. And now you're telling me there's more that's possible? Get away from me. I don't want to deal with that. There's the story. A lot of people have heard the story of the grandmother who lifted a car off of her grandchild. And I heard a story that someone caught up with her years later, and she didn't, because she didn't want to be interviewed. And it was that fear of, I saw what I could do, and it scared me to think, what else am I capable of? And she tried to ignore that. And someone talked to her, and so later in life, she then went back to school and pursued a career later in life that she had never allowed herself to pursue. She'd always been afraid of what was possible. Fear of success is greater than the fear of failure. I find that the people who are most resistant to tapping, the people who are most likely to put a comment on YouTube saying, you look like an idiot, are the people who are most afraid of how it could work for them. It's like, I've been defending my comfort zone for so long, and you're going to come along and say that I can do something simple like this and it's going to change my life. You look like an idiot. This is stupid. And I need to push it away because I'm so afraid of finding out, what else could I do? And why haven't I done it before? And what excuse do I have for not already being healthier? What excuse do I have for not being wealthier? If I had that ability within me, if I find out there really is a masterpiece underneath this marble, then I look like an idiot for not being more successful now. I need to defend this idea that I really am limited. I really am insufficient. I'm not good enough. Because if I find out that I am good enough, I feel like a failure for not having used that potential. And great. That's a fearful belief that we can tap away and go, I'm okay with that. I've been doing the best I could up until now with what I knew. It's like being in a sports car and driving in first gear. It's like, no one told you that there were 5 gears on this car. So it's not your fault. You're not stupid for not having gone into second, third, fourth, fifth gear. You just didn't know. But why spend the rest of your life insisting that you're only a 1-gear car?
Yeah, I think it's acceptance that it's okay. If you want to be there, it's okay. But don't let other people to pursue what they're capable of. I think people love to do that. But anyway, and of course, for us to express and share the power of your tapping. Would you do the honor, the tapping with us, Brad?
Oh, twist my arm, Cindy Marie. I absolutely. What I want to do first is I'm going to show folks the very basic version of EFT, because when I get into it, I'm going to say all kinds of different things. It's a very intuitive process for me, improvisational, saying different words depending on what might come up. And if that's the first experience that people have, they might say, wow, tapping is really complicated. You have to come up with all these words, and I wouldn't know what to say, so I can't do that. Don't worry about that. So the very basic version is we're going to take the fingertips of our index middle finger,
okay,
and gently tap on the edge of your opposite hand.
okay.
And this is where we do the setup statement. So if you're looking at, okay, let's just say I feel stressed right now.
Okay.
I feel really stressed out. It's Monday morning. I've got a busy week. And so I'd say, all right, on a scale of 0 to 10, how stressed do I feel? Well, it's maybe a 7 or an 8. I feel pretty stressed out. And how do I feel it? Oh, it may be a knot in my stomach. It may be tension in my shoulders. So I'm aware of the physical sensation of the stress. It's not just a concept, because that's why tapping is so effective, is because our feelings, we feel them in our body. We're not just saying, I'm really angry right now. I'm so pissed off at Bob right now. He's such an idiot. Gosh, I'm angry. No, we feel it in our bodies. So that's why we want to have a physical component to working with this. So we become aware of what we're feeling, and then we'll do a setup statement. Even though I feel this stress, I choose to love and accept myself. And we'll say that 3 times, because most often we're fighting that. In fact, oftentimes when I explain EFT to folks, they'll say, you're saying the negative. No, no, no. You're always supposed to say the positive. Power of positive thinking. Always say the positive. It's like, yeah, but if you break your leg and you go to the doctor, you don't say to the doctor, let's talk about my arm. My left arm feels so good today. Don't even talk about the leg. If your dog poops on your carpet, you don't say, I'm just going to look at where the carpet is clean. You can't, what you resist persists.
Yes.
So we want to just say, hey, here's what's going on. I'm feeling stress, or I'm feeling really angry at Bob. So even though I have this issue, I choose to love and accept myself. So that's why we do the setup statement. That's why we use the negative comment. And so we'll tap there and say that 3 times. Then we'll go through these different points right here at the beginning of your eyebrow, and we're just gently tapping each of these points. And generally we'll tap between 5 and 10 times. It may be longer depending on the phrase. And if I say all this stress, it may just be a few times. If I say all this stress about the report that's due this week, and if I don't get it done, my boss is going to fire me and I'll lose my house, then it might be more than 5 or 10 times. So just gently tap each of the point and say all this stress. Side right here at the corner of your eye, all this stress.
Okay, yeah.
Right under the middle of your eye, just right above the cheek, all this stress.
Yeah. Yes, here.
Sorry, the glass is hard to see. Right under the middle of your eye. Right under your nose, all this stress. Right under your lower lip, just above your chin, all this stress. Now right here where your collarbones just about come together, there's a little U shape at the base of your throat, and the point is about 1 inch to the side on either side. But you can use all of your fingertips or even make a fist and tap that whole area. All this stress. Next point is about 4 inches below your armpit. It's right about bra strap level, and I'm sure even the guys can figure out where that is. All this stress. And then finally, the top of your head. So just using all of your fingertips and tapping around the crown of your head.
Okay, yeah.
All the stress. Then you take a deep breath. And then you check in again and say, okay, if it was a 7 or an 8 before, what does it feel like now? As I said earlier, sometimes it'll go from, 8 to a 0 like that. Sometimes it'll just go from an 8 to a 7.75. And then we can keep tapping. Even though I still have some stress, I choose to love and accept myself and bring it down little by little. Or what often happens is it's like peeling the layers of the onion. And as we're tapping along, I'm going to say all this stress, all this stress. Oh, you know what I'm really upset about is this. And we start to get insight into what's bothering us, which we
Mm-hmm.
generally don't do because we try to avoid the stress. We try to ignore it and
Sure.
stuff it down. So we don't even look at what's bothering us. And as we're tapping, we get more clear. It's like,
Mm.
I know what I'm worried about. It's this, I know that I have to go to this family gathering in 2 weeks, and I've been trying to put that off and just forget about it. But I'm really feeling it in my body, and it's making me feel bothered about all kinds of things that are going on right now because I have this underlying stress about this event.
Mm-hmm.
And I can then tap more specifically. Even though I'm worried about this family event, I choose to love and accept myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I can
Mm-hmm.
go through and I might have been peeling even more layers of the onion. This family event, this family event, this. It's because my cousin Bob is going to be there. And the last time I saw Bob, we had a big fight. And I've
Mm-hmm.
tried to block that out of my memory, even though I'm so worried about seeing Bob. And I just keep peeling down until finally I'm like, whatever. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna see my cousin Sally, and I always have a great time with her. And if Bob's there, it's no big deal. And now this thing that I have going on at work this week is not bothering me because it really wasn't about that at all. And so I start to really clear all of that stuff that was stressing me out.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the basic version of EFT, just start with whatever you're feeling, all the stress, or it may just be, even though I've got this tightness in my neck, all this tightness in my neck, this tightness in my neck, this tightness in my neck, whatever we're aware of. And then you can play with the words. And when we're feeling upset about something, if we're feeling stress, feeling anxious, feeling angry, we don't even need to say the words at that time. We can just be tapping on these points silently, and
Ah,
we'll be down
okay.
regulating the stress.
Okay.
So the main point is, even though the way we're going to do it here in a moment, where I'm going to say different words,
Yeah.
don't worry about the words. Don't say, "Oh, that's how
I
you have
love
to do
that. Great
EFT."
to know. Great to know.
Once now that you know these 8 points, it's you can tap them, and you can just tap one point. I'll oftentimes just be tapping collarbone if I hearing some news that's upsetting. I may just tap the collarbone point. I may tap different points, but don't worry about it. Okay, every time I do it, times here, 5 times here, 5 times here, or it doesn't work. Any point that we're tapping will help to start down regulate stress. So
Beautiful. All right.
now let's have some fun with it. What would you like to have folks tap on?
I think since you mentioned about the self-doubt, what about that? Let's tap into the self-doubt.
Awesome, awesome. So what I'm going to do is invite everyone to close their eyes, take a deep breath in and hold it, and let it go. Now just breathing comfortably with your eyes closed, just allowing yourself to be present, allowing yourself to be right here, right now. And think about some goal that you want to achieve, some level of success that you'd like to have. Go ahead and imagine that and say, I've got what it takes to make this happen. And just notice on a scale of 0 to 10 how true that is. 10 being, oh yeah, I'm awesome. I'm powerful. I'm successful. I'm smart enough. I'm good enough. I've got what it takes. Don't judge yourself harshly if the number is lower than a 10. For some folks, as you think about it, maybe, wow, it's a 2 or 3 or something like that. And that's great. Now you have that awareness, because if you have that belief, I'm only at a 2 or 3 in terms of the confidence that I have what it takes. As I said, you will never perform consistently in a manner that's inconsistent with how you see yourself. So if you see yourself at a 3, you're going to have a really uphill battle trying to be successful. But this is not who you really are. So just allow yourself to acknowledge, okay, that's where I'm at right now. I have a lot of self-doubt. Feel where that self-doubt is in your body. Notice on a scale of 0 to 10, how much doubt is there. Notice what thoughts, beliefs, or memories might come up as to why you couldn't or shouldn't have more faith in yourself. Just allowing yourself to be aware of where that is. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes. Tap where I tap and repeat what I say.
Yes.
Even though I have some self-doubt,
Even though I have some self-doubt,
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
I choose to love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I have some self-doubt,
Even though I have some self-doubt,
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
I choose to love and honor myself anyway.
Even though I have some self-doubt,
Even though I have some self-doubt,
there are some parts of me
there's some parts of me
that aren't sure I have what it takes.
that aren't sure I have what it takes.
In fact, there are some parts of me
In fact, there's some parts of me
that insist that I don't have what it takes.
that insist that I don't have what it takes.
And so is it any surprise
So it's on any surprise
that I'm not always as successful as I'd like to be?
that I'm not as always successful as I'm supposed to be.
And even though I have some self-doubt,
And even though I have some self-doubt,
I choose to deeply and completely
I choose to deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself,
love, honor, and accept myself,
and maybe anyone else who might be involved in this,
and maybe anyone else who might be involved in this,
because I choose to be that free.
because I choose to be that free.
All this self-doubt,
All this self-doubt,
all of this self-doubt,
all of this self-doubt,
all this fear that I don't have what it takes,
all this fear that I don't have what it takes,
all this fear that I'm not good enough,
all this fear that I'm not good enough,
all this fear that I'm not smart enough,
all this fear that I'm not smart enough,
all of this fear that I don't have what it takes.
all this fear that I don't have what it takes.
And it begs the question,
And it begs the question,
why did I decide this about myself?
why did I decide this about myself?
Who told me that I wasn't good enough?
Who told me I wasn't good enough?
Who convinced me that I didn't have what it takes?
Who convinced me that I didn't have what it takes?
How old was I when I decided this?
How old was I when I decided this?
And what created that belief?
And what created that belief?
I'm open to the possibility
I'm open to a possibility
that it's a total misunderstanding,
that it's a total misunderstanding.
and I am capable of far more than I know.
And I'm capable far more than I know.
The fact is, I'm a lot more successful than I know.
I'm a lot more successful than I know.
I'm successful every day.
I'm successful every day.
It's just a question of what I'm succeeding at.
It's just a question of what I'm succeeding at.
Most of the time, I'm being very successful
I'm being very successful
at staying in my comfort zone.
at staying at my comfort zone.
I have some ideas
I have some ideas
about what success I'd like to have.
about what success I'd like to have.
Maybe I'd like to be in better physical shape.
Maybe I would like to be better in physical shape.
Maybe I'd like to have a more successful career.
Maybe I would like to have more successful in career.
I'd like to have more money.
I'd like to have more money.
But I am successfully staying at the amount of money that feels safe.
But I'm successfully staying at about the money that
That feels safe.
that it feels safe.
If I want to know how much money feels safe,
If I want to know how much money it feels safe,
I can just look at my bank statement right now.
I could just look at my bank statements right now.
And part of me might be disappointed.
Part of me might be disappointed.
But another part of me says,
another part of me says,
perfect. That's exactly where it's supposed to be.
Perfect. That's exactly where it's supposed to be.
That's what I know how to handle.
That's what I know how to handle.
Because I doubt that I can handle more.
Because I doubt that I could handle more.
I doubt that I can handle more money.
I doubt that I could handle more money.
I doubt that I could handle more success.
I doubt that I could handle more success.
I doubt that I could handle being healthier.
I doubt that I could be being healthier.
And I choose to clear those doubts.
And I choose to clear that as doubts.
I choose to clear those doubts at a cellular level.
I choose to clear those doubts at a cellular level.
And all the way back through my past.
And all the way back through my past.
Back through all those times in my life.
Back through all those times in my life.
Where I may have somehow gotten the message.
Where I am somehow got in the message.
That I wasn't good enough.
That I wasn't good enough.
That I wasn't smart enough.
That I wasn't smart enough.
That I didn't have what it takes.
That I didn't have what it takes.
And that was a misunderstanding.
And that was a misunderstanding.
When I wasn't successful in the past.
When I wasn't successful in the past.
I didn't get the grades that I wanted.
I didn't get the grades that I wanted.
Or whatever it might have been.
Or whatever that it might have been.
Someone may have told me that I wasn't good enough.
Someone might have told me that I wasn't good enough.
Or I just figured that out on my own.
Or I just figured that on my own.
And that was a misunderstanding.
And that was a misunderstanding.
We're not all good at everything.
We're not all good at everything.
And I just hadn't found what I was really good at.
And I just haven't found what I'm really good at.
Or there may have been other things going on.
Or maybe I have other things that may have going on.
That stop me from doing better.
That stops me doing better.
But the idea that I'm not good enough.
But the idea that I'm not good enough.
Is false.
Is false.
I'm a magnificent child of the universe.
I'm the magnificent child of the universe.
I'm awesome.
I'm awesome.
I'm capable of amazing things.
I'm capable of amazing things.
I just haven't allowed myself to do that yet.
I just haven't allowed to do that for myself yet.
Maybe sometimes.
Maybe sometimes.
And then I say that was a fluke.
And I say that was a fluke.
But that's a glimpse at who I really am.
But that's a glimpse of who I really am.
I am powerful beyond measure.
I'm powerful being measured. Sorry?
I'm powerful beyond measure.
I'm powerful beyond measure.
Capable of amazing things.
Capable of amazing things.
And I can handle doing amazing things.
And I can handle doing amazing things.
It's safe for me to succeed.
It's safe to me to succeed.
And so it's safe for me to see the truth.
And so it's safe for me to see the truth.
I do have what it takes.
I do have what it takes.
I definitely have what it takes.
I definitely have what it takes.
I'm allowing myself to see that.
I'm allowing myself to see that.
I'm allowing myself to love myself more.
I'm allowing myself to love myself more.
I'm allowing myself to appreciate myself more.
I'm allowing myself to appreciate myself more.
I'm appreciating all those parts of me.
I'm appreciating all those parts of me.
That may have limited my success.
That may have limited my success.
Thinking that that would keep me safe.
Thinking that would keep me safe.
I'm now allowing those parts.
I'm now allowing those parts.
To help me be more successful.
To help me be more successful.
I have the power to achieve great things.
I have the power to achieve great things.
And I can handle that.
And I can handle that.
Releasing the remaining doubts.
Releasing the remaining doubts.
And remembering who I really am.
And remembering who I really am.
Remembering how awesome I really am.
Remembering how awesome I really am.
Having a lot more faith in myself.
Having a lot more faith in myself.
In body, mind, and spirit.
In body, mind, and spirit.
And take a deep breath. Close your eyes and think about that goal or that lifestyle or whatever it is that you were imagining before and say, I've got what it takes. And rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. Hopefully that number has come way up.
Yes,
and it
yes,
may,
yes.
and for some folks, it may not have come up a lot, but again, it may be like peeling layers of the onion, and you may have gotten some insights and remembered, oh my goodness, I remember in the 3rd grade when this teacher told me that I would never amount to anything. It's like, why am I letting that idiot decide my life? They were wrong. Open your eyes, take a deep breath.
Fantastic.
Do that on a daily basis. Remind yourself how awesome you are on a daily basis, and you'll be amazed at how your life changes.
Amazing. I don't know what for people who just practice or did on their own, how much did the scale actually change? But for me, it was amazing. Like, whenever I practice your work on tapping, I usually answer you back like, yes, yes, yes. And there's one thing that I want to share with you. This is why I stop at the end. I'm not sure whether it's helpful or not. I usually say in body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit.
I have a lot of folks I work with who will say additional things, and I think that's great. There's a woman in England who goes body, mind, soul, attitude, and goes on. It's like, hey, whatever works. For folks watching my videos, if you come up with other words and you want to say something different than what I'm saying, absolutely go for it.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great to know, because many people might think that, oh, I have to follow what Brad is saying. But usually, whenever, especially when I'm very particular with words that I would like to express. So when it doesn't resonate with me, I would switch it to what I'm feeling. And I love one of the
Perfect.
things that very useful for me in terms of understanding the tapping is that you can even just say nothing and just
Yeah.
do the tapping. That's amazing.
Yeah. We're just the tapping is sending electrical bioelectrical signals to the brain to calm down. So even without the words help us to stay focused on the issue, so
Mm-hmm.
we don't get distracted and start thinking about other things. Especially if I'm working with a client on something that might not be happening right now. It may be an event that happened in the past. So, but certainly in an event where we're in the stressful event right now and we're feeling it right now, the words aren't necessary. They can be helpful, but they aren't required, because the body's like, look, you don't have to remind me. I know what's going on. I know what I'm feeling.
So that's good to know for everyone watching or listening right now. If you want to keep on diving in the EFT or tapping, it's great to know that if you're not comfortable saying those words or saying those circumstances, you don't have to, but just keeping in mind. And so before I let you go, and one more question that I have, or two more questions, like I know that part of it, tapping could be what keeping you as well, being optimistic. But is there any other practices or rituals or habits that you do as well to keep yourself optimistic that perhaps you can share to us, part of practicing or experimenting as well?
Yeah, I have a whole morning routine where I journal, I meditate, or I try to meditate, uh, exercise. You know, taking care of the body is so good for our mental well-being. So yeah, I do visualizations. I do peaceful visualizations of imagining sending loving light to people.
Mm.
Starting with my family and then expanding out to everybody, including people that I might not care for. People that are doing harm in the world. It's like, if they're doing harm, it's because they're suffering and they need a whole lot more loving light. So I'm going to try to send that. And, the energy that we send out is measurable. It may
Mm.
be very small, but it does have energy, and it can have an impact. So the more that we do it, and the more of us doing it, the more positive the benefit. So yeah, there's all kinds of little positive things I do, but tapping is the main thing for helping me to downregulate the stress that could get in the way of
Yeah.
me taking care of myself or taking care of others.
Beautiful. And you mentioned this morning routine. And another thing that I want to share you that I have learned from your tapping work is that, and maybe anybody else who might be involved in doing this.
Yes,
I love that, because that has been like my part of journal and also affirmation. So thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. That was one that I learned from Gary Craig, the founder of EFT. Just that I love and appreciate myself. and maybe anybody else, because I want to be that free. If I insist on having negative thoughts towards another person, I stay stuck. So I
True.
want to get to the point of being able to release and go, hey, Godspeed, I can't change you, but I don't need to carry that. And I wish you well, because the better you feel, the less likely you are to harm me or others.
True. Agree. 100%. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation, Brad. And for many people who are so curious of, let's say you have programs, and also I know that you have upcoming events even here in Europe, right? Where they can reach you?
Yeah, thank you. The easiest way is at my website, tapwithbrad.com. And if you go to tapwithbrad.com, right there's a little thing to sign in to get a free 5-day program called Tap Into Your Best Self. So in terms of self-esteem and self-love, this is a really simple way. So, get that free program, find out about other things that I'm doing. Yeah, I've got a European trip coming up in a few months, where I'm going to be doing an event in Ireland and an event in Amsterdam. So
Mhm.
I'm very excited about that. It'll be the first time doing events so I'll be in Galway. I haven't done an event there before, and I haven't done an event in Amsterdam. I haven't been in Amsterdam since long before you were born. So many, many, many years ago. So very, very excited about that. That's my favorite thing to do. As a recovering actor, having a live audience, being on stage is the most fun for me. And there's something really powerful about the group. And I also do online group events, and very powerful having people tapping together, gathered at the same time to clear out stress and really find that light that's inside of us.
Awesome. So do not be worried for everyone watching or listening right now. I will add where you can connect Brad Yates on my blog, on my YouTube, and my podcast. So you can definitely reach out to him, find understanding whatever the other programs or services. And even if you're in Amsterdam or Ireland during the period of time that he will hold his events, I checked. It's amazing. It's amazing ticket the price. So it's good. Actually, I believe everyone can afford it, but it's a limited seat. So
Yes.
be cautious and monitor that. So thank you so much, Brad, for this opportunity. I'm super, super grateful for this time with you and having that fresh actual tapping with you. It's an incredible gift. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Cindy Marie, for having me on. Thank you for the work that you're doing and the way you're changing lives. And thank you for this opportunity to share this work.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for watching or listening right now on this episode. Until next time, with yours truly, Cindy Marie, here to empower your life. What a fun yet insightful conversation with Brad, from understanding emotional freedom techniques to having that live tapping session regarding self-doubt. I hope that was super useful and helpful for you. And did you try the tapping session that we had too? If so, how do you feel after? How would you rate your self-doubt? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share so that we can reach more amazing people like you and empower lives. Until next time, remember, stay optimistic, be open to experience or experiment or explore, like EFT or tapping, to help you unblock many negative thoughts and keep taking action. Believe in yourself, stay on your game, because you've got what it takes to achieve your dreams and make a positive impact in this world. Be unstoppable.